Fox 6 meteorologist Dennis Washington joins us now live from Gulf Shores, Alabama. Dennis, the wind looks like it has let up considerably compared to the last time we saw you.
Well, depends which wind squall you're tossing to me as.
Yeah, you almost got blown away there.
It's all a matter of timing, you know, whether you got good timing or not. It comes and goes. We're in the middle of one of those squalls where, you know, just all of a sudden out of nowhere you get one of those that feel like you're blowing blow you right off your feet. And we're a little bit sheltered. We've got a few of the hotels around us, but it's still the wind coming around between them. Even out here in the parking lot, it's not like we're in a narrow area somewhere. We're out in the middle of the parking lot, and the gust of wind just coming just really strong. We're still getting sustained winds right now, anywhere from 50 to 60 miles an hour, gusting up to about 70, 75 at sometimes, especially when you get out toward the beach areas. There's a lot of, the wind is still, the storm surge is still around 13 to 15 feet out on the beach areas. And what's so amazing to me is when you go under the Perdido Bridge, which we're just only less than a mile from, you go under that bridge back into the Intercoastal Waterway, we're still seeing storm surges back there of 13 to 15 feet. That's a wall of water almost 15 feet high back there, and that is causing some extensive flooding. You'd seen the video earlier. Mike Tucker and Alan Collins had made their way over to Gulf Shores to Highway 59, the main bridge that comes in from the mainland there over here to Pleasure Island. That area is flooded right now, just like it was with Hurricane Ivan. That was one of the things that the emergency managers told us yesterday they were extremely worried about from Hurricane Katrina. The winds, they felt like we might get hurricane force winds, but they felt like they could deal with that. It was the storm surge, they said, which may end up, when it's all said and done, this storm surge may be worse than Hurricane Ivan was last year.
That's certainly bad news for all those folks who are still cleaning up from Ivan. Dennis, tell us that as I look at you there, it's so different from the way we've seen you a little earlier. It looks like there's no more rain. You're just getting wind right now?
It is just wind. We're in between rain bands, and in fact, when I was looking at the radar in our Fox 6 storm tracker earlier, I'm noticing a lot of the rain off to the north and to the east, and we're now more due east, a little bit south of east now, as the center of the storm continues to make its way northward into Mississippi. So we're still getting that strong southerly wind, but there's not a lot of moisture on this far out from the center of the storm. So what we're getting is just some really, really strong wind. I was checking one of the buoy reports in the Fox 6 storm tracker earlier. The Dauphin Island buoy about 2 hours ago had a sustained wind of 75 miles an hour. It wasn't raining, it was just pure wind. Reason that the storm surge is such a big factor here. The storm surge doesn't require rain to be a problem. It's the wind that pushes the water out in the Gulf towards the coast. That's what creates that storm surge. One of the emergency managers described it to me yesterday kind of like a tsunami-like effect. Not exactly a tsunami, but similar, as the waves continue to just crash into the bay areas. Mobile Bay, here in the Intercoastal Waterway, the water's just pushed into those areas, and at some point it just hits land and has to go somewhere, and that's where it creates all the flooding problems.
Dennis, would we assume correctly that this is going to cause tremendous erosion of the beach in the Gulf Shores area and other places along the Alabama coast?
Absolutely. That's the biggest problem. I mean, you just drive up and down the beaches here and you see just how much construction is still underway from Hurricane Ivan. There are a lot of empty lots where houses used to stand, but then there's also a lot of condominiums that are either being repaired still from Hurricane Ivan or under construction. A lot of these buildings are still there, and then the beaches themselves, where the beach erosion, where Hurricane Ivan just completely washed away those sand dunes. They've been trying to rebuild them back, but the sand dunes aren't nearly as good as when they were here with Hurricane Ivan. So there's no protection for these coastal areas. That's why authorities said if we get a 15-foot wall of water crashing on here in the beach, there's no sand dune to stop it. And that's why they have issued the mandatory evacuations here for Pleasure Island earlier yesterday. They just felt that for the safety of the folks, it's not a wind concern, it's the storm surge concern that was the biggest problem for them.
Dennis, also, of course, this is the first hurricane for our storm tracker to be racing itself through. How's it doing? And are you right there by it?
Oh, Oh, yes. Well, actually, Anthony, let's turn around. Let's show everybody the storm tracker. We've been talking about this all day and actually for several days now. And let's just take you inside here while we got a chance, show you what we've been looking at. It has weathered it pretty good, but hate to say it, it's going to need a good bath when we get back. All this sand, it's just almost sticking like glue sometimes on here. But let me get inside here and show you what we've been doing. Excuse the mess. It's we've been working in here and trying to get everything we can, but this is the mobile radar right here that we've been watching very carefully. And again, like the Dolphin Island I was telling you about right there, 72 mile an hour sustained winds gusting up to that 73 knots, so pushing almost 80 miles an hour. These colors right here indicate the storm surge that I've been telling you about. And Mobile Bay now, and this is one of the concerns that we've had, this is an estimating almost a 30-foot storm surge now in Mobile Bay, and this is extremely concerning to me. If this is correct, because this is the Bay Bridge that comes out of Mobile over to Baldwin County. This bridge was built in the 70s, and the emergency managers tell me that this bridge was only being set up to deal with an 18-foot storm surge. So if this is correct and we're seeing a 29-foot storm surge there, then that's extremely dangerous, and I'm afraid we could see some bridge damage, much like Pensacola saw with Hurricane Katrina. Back down here, this bullseye is where our Fox 6 storm tracker is located. We're still seeing a storm surge here of, it's estimating a 39-foot storm surge here on the beaches. That might be a little overdone, but it's very possible we could be close to 30 at some points. Just for the fact of how strong the winds are, we're getting a south wind that is sustained at about 70, gusting up to 80 miles an hour at some times. Some of the other reports here, click on over here to Pensacola, look at that station. Sustained wind there at 52 miles an hour. And I mean, that's 15, 20, 30 miles down the beach from where we're located. Up here in the city of Mobile, and which is, you know, several miles inland, they're getting a sustained wind at 63 miles per hour in the city of Mobile. That is tremendous amounts of wind. And this is something that we've been talking about earlier this morning that has also concerned me. The eye of the storm is just off to the left of the screen here, but as you go north here into Gulfport, Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi, Pascagoula, Mississippi, now they're in their about 8th to 10th hour of storm surges at or above 30 feet. That kind of water, a wall of water 30 feet high, is just tremendous, and that's going to cause substantial amounts of damage. We also remember we talked about last year with Hurricane Ivan, how when Ivan came in, it made a landfall here where we're located, the center of the storm, and then came up through Alabama, knocked down all of those trees, all those old trees that had not been hit by a big hurricane in many years. Well, now Mississippi is going to get its first hurricane in many years. It's the center of the storm going to come right up here through the central Mississippi. Therefore, Mississippi's going to see tree damage and power line damage that they haven't seen in many years, because they haven't gotten the effects like we've gotten of Ivan and Hurricane Dennis and some of these other big storms that Alabama and Florida and Georgia have gotten over the past few years. So this storm surge right here, and you can see the colors, this brighter, almost white color right here, light purple, that indicates the strongest amount of storm surge. And of all the colors across the Gulf Coast right now, you can see Mobile Bay, Gulf Shores, Panama, all of this is the biggest amount of storm surge right now anywhere along the Gulf Coast. We're getting as high a storm surge right now as what Biloxi, even New Orleans. We're getting more storm surge than New Orleans is right now. That's why this storm has been so dangerous for us.
Well, that's a tremendous concern for everybody along the Alabama Gulf as well as Mississippi and on over to New Orleans. Dennis, we appreciate your coverage. Dennis Washington joining us live from Gulf Shores, Alabama, and we'll be coming back to Dennis many, many times throughout this afternoon.
We now want to take a look.